Hello, everyone. This is Renee Piane and Clayton Norcross. I am the
Okay.
love designer, and Clayton and I have been here for 8 weeks. This is our 8th week, bringing you
Wow.
love tips. Love tips. Do you believe it's been 8 weeks? How you doing,
It goes
Clay?
by fast, doesn't it?
Yes,
But
it
so
does.
so much good feedback, though. It's really exciting.
Well, I think it's exciting because, most people, especially during the corona and all the stuff that's going around the world now, we
Right.
have the riots and all the crazy stuff. People are having deeper time to reflect.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things I have been I did a class online about flirting. And any of you out there that want to learn how to flirt, I'm hosting a flirting class on my website. So you might want to check it out. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. But what happened was I invited these people to get a session, right? So I have had over 65 sessions in this last 2 weeks. I've been on the phone
My
nonstop.
goodness.
What was the key? What was the key thing? Broken heart and the feeling of not having a split amount of faith that love existed. Like
Oh,
they
really?
felt like they were damaged in one part of their life, and then the other part was very powerful. Can you relate to that?
Well, I can. We men, we walk this odd line between this hyper masculine at times, and we all have a little child inside of us. But the male of the species is much more private, as you've often noted.
Yeah.
And we don't bond as easily in big groups as women do and reveal ourselves and talk things through. So I think a broken heart for a man a lot of times has to do with being triggered in that part of us that is neglected, that inner
Yeah.
child.
And when you really think about yourself, if you can be really honest, we all have a little girl and a little boy. And
Yeah,
when trauma happens, it triggers some of the old patterns that you may have seen through watching your parents divorce or going through shattering breakups when you were younger, right? So, Clayton, as you did this inner work with yourself, I noticed in some of your posts that you said that over the last like 3 or 4 weeks that you've been really getting closer to that damaged part of you. So how have you done that? What did you actually, I know you read
well,
the book and everything, but what
yes,
process have you been using?
Renee's wonderful book, Real About Love. I keep going to this. Has sort of become my emotional Bible here. And I'm not going to read very much here, but just on page 124, she talks about memories and feelings and healing heart rituals. So how do you go about healing your heart? It's emotional surgery. Write out memories and feelings about this person, as many details as you can recall. How old were you? Where were you? So anyway, you go into some writing exercises. I found it really lucrative to go to the beach. I've just returned from Hawaii to my home here in California. And Hawaii was a wonderful place to experience the pandemic because it was sort of a soft landing there. And I went down to the beach every day, and I recognized from Renee's fine suggestions that there was a part of me that was really suffering around this breakup that was triggered beyond the context of losing this person's familiarity in my life.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I need to investigate that. And I began to realize that little Claybo, I call him inside, had been neglected,
Mhm.
and in many of these relationships was experiencing a recap of a sense of abandonment that I had experienced as a child.
Well, it's something that many people don't want to do, but until both parts of you believe and go in one direction, the damaged part will kind of veer you off to get a fix. And that's why last week when we were
Right.
talking about sharing your sexual energy wisely, because what I have found through coaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, especially when you're busy, is that when they hurt, that part goes out to date. And I know I did it. Little Renee had control of my love life for many, many years until probably
Sure.
back in I guess it was 2000. Really, I was in school learning how the mind stores the memories. And when I actually looked at how many negative memories that I had stored of being
Right.
hurt, lied to, and cheated on, I started to realize that it was me choosing improperly because my heart was hurt. But then I had my Wonder Woman side, right? So I was strong, but I was weak at the same time. So until I went in one direction and integrated both parts of me to do one thing instead of doing the bonehead, sharing too much of myself too soon without
Right.
knowing if someone was hurt before or where they were on their path, then I realized it was me doing it to me. So I started to do these love rituals to heal her. And I know you've been doing them. So what are you actually doing with this little boy
Well,
inside of you?
a couple things that have been very effective for me is mirror work. It's very
Mhm.
powerful to look yourself in the face in the morning, as is my favorite time. Look yourself in your eyes. You might look a little sleepy. You might look a little messy after, but to wrap your arms around yourself and love what you see.
Yeah.
And I've gotten in the habit of written down several affirmations on a page, where Clayton, you're a beautiful little boy. I recognize you in there. I'm going to change my ways. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, getting involved too quickly. I am going to show up to protect you instead of letting this compulsive abandonment issue drive the bus.
Yeah.
And that's been really helpful. And the other thing is, I did a thing called self-parenting,
Hmm.
whereas I'll use my right hand to write out a question like, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? And then I'll put the pen in my left hand and I'll let him respond. Now, obviously, it's very strange because I don't write with my left hand, but it comes out very simple and very sometimes naive, but sometimes quite profound. Like, I am really sad. I
Yeah.
missed this.
Yeah.
And it's very laser.
Hmm.
And those two things, I think, have really put me back in touch with the need to be balanced between the hypermasculine and the
Hmm.
child living within us.
Well, that inner work I did, I had journals and I could, when I went back to reread my journals from 28 years, I could see that part of me was saying, I don't think this is a good idea. Why am I
Mhm.
doing this to myself? This man doesn't feel right. I
So
think he's
dialogue
selfish.
again, just like you're talking.
So I was going back and forth between the sides of myself. And then I said, oh, hell, I'm lonely. Who cares? And I said, I know what I'm
Don't care,
doing
right?
and I'm going to get hurt anyway. And I don't care because I'm lonely. Right. And I had, then that would turn into another wound. So they were piling up and
Yeah.
and they were piling up and then it became a huge wall. So the people, oftentimes people that are in their 40s or they've gone through a divorce, and we're going to have to wrap up soon, but as they're going in, through a divorce or a breakup, if you don't get in touch with that part of you and you're super busy and you don't have time to heal, you go to therapy 1 or 2 times and they say, well, you're going to have to slow down and take care of yourself. But this gives you the steps on what to do with your heart, how to slow yourself down. And you did all of that work. You became your own love investigator. You saw your patterns that you did to yourself.
Yeah. And the affirmations and the exercises that you promote in the book say, hey, if you really want to heal this, buckle down and do the work. And it doesn't have to be draconian. I would take like
Yeah.
maybe 30 or 40 minutes a day. I would journal first and say, how am I feeling? What's going on? And then I would sit down with the book and I would go maybe through it 3 or 4 pages at a time. And sometimes I'd only get one paragraph. And it would be,
Yeah.
wow, that hits me hard. Let me write on that. And I
Yeah.
began to realize that it's not how fast you go, it's how thorough you are.
And
And
how you take care of your own heart rather than
right.
looking for someone to come and fix it, right? So that's why when people buy the book, I say you got to get a heart and be honest with your heart. And I think that that's the key, is being honest with your old patterns and then actually discussing some of these with people from your past. It has been so transforming, not only for me, but for thousands of my clients like yourself, Clayton. So I'm really happy that you're on the other
Well,
side of the pain. You look like a different person. Your eyes are
I can't believe
sparkly.
we're almost out of time, but
Yeah.
I have to agree with you. I feel altered within in terms of the choices that I'm making. And that's not to make anybody wrong from my past, but the reason that I'm choosing them and the experience I'm anticipating will be quite different in my future.
Well, I'm telling you, anybody that does this heart healing work could transform their future, and it's my passion. So we thank you for being here, and we are going to talk a
Thank you.
little bit more about these heart healing rituals soon. So anyway, Clay, I just want to thank you for being so raw, and all of your fans and
Well,
some of the people that are watching you on my Facebook and all of my Instagram and all these places are saying, wow, how does this guy who's famous feel about putting it out there? Like, so hasn't it freed you up?
well, it has. I think, it's been very liberating not to blame anyone
Mm-hmm.
for the pain and suffering that I've experienced, but to take responsibility is always very liberating because
Right.
there's nowhere else to turn except within and go, okay, I don't want to get into perfectionism. I don't want to blame myself and shame myself. There's got to be a healthy middle ground here for how I assimilate what's happened and how can I turn it to my good. And one of the reasons I'm doing this with you is I wanted to use my experience, which, as you've noted, is quite common, where people get their heart broken and yet they've had a real hand in creating, promoting, or allowing that situation. I
Yeah.
acknowledge that I was on a rebound when I entered this last relationship. So I wasn't very discriminating. I was just in pain and I wanted to get out of it. And here's
Yeah.
a lovely creature, who's going to help me do that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this happens to so many people, and especially when you're an attractive man and a movie star on top of it, right? It doesn't make it any easier. People think that celebrities, yes, they do have multiple choices, but if they're unhealed when they're making those choices, that's why you see so
right,
many divorces and breakups in Hollywood. And then everybody around the world's following Hollywood and what we people that are in the industry or whatever do. And it's very important for you to find role models that can help you get out of it. And I do consider myself that after, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. And the guys out there, if you're watching, if you have hung in there this long, it's time for you. If you will have so much more power when you know yourself so that you don't make mistakes that end up costing you sometimes your half of your home and half of your money because you chose unwisely. That's why we're saying use your sexual energy wisely. Last time,
well,
and
and spend
you
the
know,
quality time with yourself so that you're not so driven in that area.
yeah,
Because the sexuality is very compelling. It's where we're sharing our vibration with another human being.
yeah,
And oftentimes, it just stands to reason if you don't know who that person is and what their vibrational tone really is, you're really kind of rolling the dice.
yeah. Well,
And
most people
I,
do not look
that is,
into. I'm sorry. Most people don't look into the parts of people until they're either married. They don't understand that that person still has a
yeah.
heartbreaker or some damage in, or an, I call them love imprints in the book from their lineage and their upbringing. So that's
And
why
we
I
all
always,
have them.
we all have them. We all have them.
We all have them. So no matter who you meet, I had an interesting experience the other day. I went down to the beach to do my evening walk, which is my sort of my gift to my little guy inside after working hard all day. We usually go around 6 o'clock and go down to the beach and go for a walk or a run or something, but get out into nature, and see the birds and feel the ocean on my feet and so on. It's very healing. Nature is for me. And I was walking along and I asked little Clay, I said, do you want to walk on the bike path here where there's all the people? Or do you want to be over, a little more quiet, walking in the sand by the water? And he said very clearly, oh, I want to be by the water. I don't really want to talk to anybody. I'm in an emotional place. I need to feel. I need to emote. Can we just do that? Can we go walk with the birds in the ocean? I'm like, yeah, buddy, let's go. So
So it's like
you begin to welcome.
he's your little boy, and whoever is out
As
there
if I was
watching.
holding his hand,
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not,
So anyway, we
I'm
do
not
have
shy
to
about
wrap up.
sharing.
We have to wrap up now because we want everyone to see this information. We want you to know that healing is possible for any depth of a broken heart if you're willing to take a look at your own and that part of you. So what I used to do and still do when I get triggered is I have my love pillow, and this is what I hold my little girl with this pillow, and I give myself the love that I want to receive. So we hope that you get, your heart gets expanded. And Clayton, I know many of your fans are going to write to you about this. So thank you for being so raw and real with your heart once again this
Thank
week.
you, Renee.
So
You
please,
want to
everybody, get in touch. And if you decide, we can't wait to hear your feedback. Talk to you soon. Get real about love.